I have a really big writing goal for this week, so of course I could not sleep last night. I'm so tired. So welcome back to my channel for this vlog. It's going to take me a while to film because I plan for this to chronicle my latest writing challenge, which is writing 50,000 words in 15 days. The way I have this structured in my head is I want to spend Monday through Friday for the next 3 weeks doing my best to write 3,400 words a day. That'll put me at just a bit over 50,000 words before the end of the month. I don't think 50,000 words is going to be enough to finish off this book. Right now I have like 48,000 something words, just shy of 49,000. I might get lucky and wrap it up at around 100,000. If it goes over, whatever. I don't really have a fixed length in mind for the books, but I'm gonna get my tea and I am going to start doing some writing sprints. And of course the kitten is in full gremlin mode today, so on top of me being tired and having so much to do, I also have a kitten who is determined to get into trouble today. That's okay, we're gonna get through it. I'm gonna make some tea, I'm gonna do my best. All right, quick check-in. It is still Monday the 12th. It is about 1 o'clock, so this is all I'm going to be able to get done for right now. I had to stop and take several breaks because I am so tired. I got 2,532 words so far, so tonight after dinner, after my husband gets home, I'm still going to need to get another 900 words to hit today's goal. So not off to the greatest start, but when I made this plan, I also did not anticipate, not sleeping at night. So I also finally crossed the 50,000 word mark officially in the manuscript. I'm at 51,000. I've turned in the first half of the book to my editor. She's working on that. I'm excited to see where this part goes because this is one of the scenes that I've really been looking forward to writing, so all good things. Okay, now it's Tuesday the 13th. My breakfast is in the toaster and I actually got a little bit of sleep last night, not as much as I probably needed since I needed to catch up on sleeping, but it's better than nothing. I wrote some more after my daughter went to bed, and I ended up with 4,036 words for the day yesterday, so that was pretty good, even though the morning was rough. The manuscript is at about 52,500 words, so I got to move one of the little sticky notes on my Kanban board last night, and that was happy and exciting, and I think it was a good way to start things off. So there's my breakfast. I have some errands that I have to run today, so I will have to stop working by noon. So I'll just do the same thing again, I guess. I'll aim for 2,500 before lunch, and then I'll try to get another 1,000 this evening or after Evie goes to bed. I'm having some trouble with a muscle spasm in the back of my right shoulder. I think it's from not sleeping well the night before last, but I need to try to fit in some stretches and things too. Overall, I'm happy with the direction that the book is going. Where I stopped last night, it's literally one line before the really bad thing that happens in the middle of the book happens. So I get to start writing with that today, but first, breakfast and doing the dishes and the normal morning routine. Gosh, as I was sitting here writing, I got a message from my cover artist with an update on the cover for this book, and it's looking so good. I'm so excited. I can't wait to share the cover, but I can't do it yet. It's day 3. Today is a dark and rainy and gloomy day, but we need the rain, and that prevents me from having to go outside in the heat to water my plants, so I guess that's a win. I made it to my goal last night. I made it up to 3,486 words, so barely, but still got there. It ended up being really challenging because the muscle spasm that I have in my back is really bothering me, and I'm going to have to take it a little bit easier today. I didn't want to have to sacrifice the 600 words that I am ahead already this early into the 15 days of writing, but I have to be mindful of my physical condition too, so I'm going to need more breaks. That means less time spent writing. If I make it to 3,400 today, it's going to be a miracle. But you never know, maybe 3 hours will be enough for me to stay on track. If I'm really in the zone, then I can get like 1,000 words an hour. I'm not the world's fastest writer by any means. But I have some things that I need to do today. Yesterday was supposed to be my day for errands, and I ended up having to put it off to try to get my writing done instead. I really wanted to get through the scene that I was in. It was a really pivotal point for the middle of the book. I read the chapter to my daughter last night after I finished writing it, and she was extremely unimpressed with me, which means I did a good job with that midpoint, I guess, because it's not supposed to be good. So for now, breakfast, and then I get to work. Now it is Thursday the 15th. I had a decent day of writing last night. I did another 1,000 words after my daughter went to bed, so I ended the day at 3,868 words. So that was about 400 or so more than what I needed. That puts me a whole 1,000 ahead of where I thought I would be. I passed the 60,000 word mark, so I'm starting to think this book is going to run a little bit longer than expected. I always either fall a little bit short or go way over, and I think this is going to be one of the times that I go way over. I'm really looking forward to the chapter that I'm going to be working on this morning. After I get my morning chores done, I still need to take care of dishes and the cats and everything. And then I'll need to check in with my family. Every time I make a plan that I'm really going to throw myself into writing and I'm going to let my writing just be my main focus and nothing else is going to get in the way, and I've cleared everything on my schedule to be able to write, that's when something happens. And now I have a lot of uncertainty for my plan of being able to write my 50,000 in 15 days. My aunt took my grandmother to the emergency room yesterday, and my grandmother is now being sent home for home hospice care. My mom is figuring out how she can go up to help my aunt with my grandmother's care, but I am 6 hours south of my parents and 8 hours south of my grandmother. So while I'm going to be focused on writing today, I'm also going to start making some preparations for needing to travel up there very quickly. So yeah, packing groceries, and either today or tomorrow I'll need to change the oil in my car so that it'll be ready for the trip. I guess I'll try to get that done first, and then 3,400 words after that, if I can fit it in. I got it for like 2 minutes. You're gonna need to get out of my seat. I need to get back to work. I'm just not doing good today. I guess this is an example of how things that come up in your everyday life can really derail your creativity. I was doing so good for the past 3 days, and I've been sitting at my desk since 8:30 this morning. It's 12:36 now, and I've only gotten like 1,500 words, which is horrible. That's like abysmal for me, but it's the best that I can do right now. I feel empty creatively, and I'm not really sure how to get past that, or if it's something that I am going to be able to get past easily. It's just a lot on my mind right now, and trying to think through all the stuff that I'm gonna have to do to go up and see my family, and knowing that that trip is going to be inevitable, but not really being sure when it's going to be. And I think that's kind of what gets me, is like the uncertainty, not knowing when things are going to be happening, not knowing what my schedule is going to be like for the next, I don't know, few days to a couple weeks. It's always hard to say. I guess I should be glad that I ended up being like 1,000 words ahead, because if I can at least get up to 2,400, I'm just gonna call it a day. Oh, one of the disadvantages of walking my daughter into school every morning is that I'm out in the humidity, so I'm going to have frizzy hair forever. So it's Friday, so I've almost made it through the first week. I ended up getting 3,002 words yesterday, so I did not quite make my goal, but I got more than I thought I was going to. You need to stop climbing on stuff. So I still don't know what's going on with my grandmother, really. My mom is going to keep me updated, but I have things mostly sorted out so that I'll be able to go up there easily. I still need to get the oil changed in my car. I can do it tomorrow though, and everything is ready for me to drop stuff and head up north if I need to. You're very bitey today, what's up? Yeah. So I'm really dragging today, kind of demotivated, and I have a lot of stuff backed up that I'm going to need to work on. I guess I'll start with doing household chores and things like that and see if it kind of helps eliminate some of the brain clutter that I'm dealing with this morning. Overall, the week has been pretty good. I'm still 600 words ahead of where I need to be. Thank you for the kisses. So that's where I am today. I also need to take a look at my schedule and figure out what I can work on this weekend, because I have a lot of other stuff on my board that has kind of built up over the last few days. I still need to schedule my email newsletter for this month. I need to write a blog post, which is a short story chapter that I've been working on. And I'm falling behind on doing like sketches and stuff to keep up with my artistic practice. It's just hard to fit everything in. I can either go for big word counts or I can get lots of little things done. The little things don't fit in around the big word counts as well as I thought they would. Right now I'm going to put this kitten on the floor. I guess I'm going to get busy with chores. So I don't know if I've shown this yet. This is how I've been logging my words and keeping track of my word sprints. Sometimes I have notes in there, but I typically put together either like 4 or 5 columns, and each of these is going to be what I consider a writing session. It might be like before lunch, after lunch, evening, and then any stray words that I get through the day, like if I'm making notes on my phone or anything like that, it can go into the last column. Sometimes I'll break it up a little bit differently and it'll be like the first hour, second hour, third hour of writing. And I may go for as many as like 5 columns here. Here I was planning to do 4 hours of writing and then have one for like random notes and such. And I didn't end up doing that, but I've got my little grid set up for today on this page, and then this was yesterday's, and you can see that if I do sprints, I'll do like each one will be like how long is my sprint, and I usually will do like 10-minute sprints with little breaks in between. That's why there's a section of 4. And you can see here I just sat down and I did like 1 writing session, and here I did 2 sprints. Each of those sprints was 20 minutes because I was having a hard time getting into it. And then I just sat down and kind of free wrote again at bedtime. I've noticed that I'm not really ending up with a lot of like stray notes to add to my word count lately, but I'm still putting it there and then just collecting my total down here at the bottom. It's just, this is what's working for me right now to log my productivity. Today, since I'm having a hard time, I think I may try more actively to split things up into smaller sprints so that I'll be logging each sprint in one of these. Okay, so it's like 11:20, so I've been at this for about 2.5 hours. I've got 2,170 words so far. I'm gonna stop for lunch and then I guess I'll see if I can do another hour of writing. If I'm lucky, another hour should get me to the 3,400 that I'm hoping for today. So it's 3:30 now on Friday. My husband will be heading home from work soon. My daughter is home from school. And I am calling it quits for the day. I made it to 2,998 words, which is 402 short from what I wanted, but since I was still ahead a little bit from having a couple good days, it's enough for this week. I've met my goal for the week overall, even though I didn't hit it every single day. I'm gonna take the weekend off from writing to refuel and get back to it on Monday. So ultimately what I got done in the first 5 days of my 15-day writing challenge here was I got 17,390 words written altogether, which is good, and I am happy with that. I am definitely on track to finish by the end of my 15 days. I'm actually still a little bit ahead because when I was figuring out like the daily average of what I needed, it was actually like 3,300 something, and I just rounded that up to 3,400. So I've actually, on the 3 days that I managed to hit that goal, I was getting extra anyway. Otherwise, I'm just gonna rest a bit. I have some sewing projects out that I think I'm going to play with a little bit tonight. But that's it for the first week. It was successful. Hopefully the next 2 weeks will also be productive, but I don't think it's going to be enough for me to be able to finish this book. It's running a little long. I feel like there's some kind of unspoken rule that I have to be really tired on Monday. I got my coffee, which is not really coffee. It's 90% milk and sugar. I actually don't really like coffee, but my husband, when he was in Japan, he sent me these little candies, and they're like coffee flavored candy. and they just barely tasted like coffee, and those were really good. So now when I have coffee, I mix it to taste like those, which means it's hardly any coffee at all. But now everything is taken care of so that I can go up to see my grandmother while she is on hospice. I talked to my mom about it last night. She said, you know, unfortunately it's one of those situations where you just never have an idea of how long it's going to be. It could be weeks, or something could come up and it could be over very quickly. But my mom said that her dementia is getting bad, so while she is still there, she's not really there. So if I want to have any kind of visit with her at all, I probably need to go up while she's still, you know, a little bit together so that we can have a little bit of visiting time. That's really hard to work out with my daughter just starting school. But it's looking like what's going to need to happen is I will have to go up there on my own, probably Friday, and go to visit her on Saturday and then come back on Sunday, because it's a little bit of a haul no matter what I do. So it's going to be a very busy weekend with a lot of driving. So I'm going into my second week of writing, my second set of 5 days, knowing that I am most likely not going to make my word count goal on Friday. I don't think I'm going to be able to make up for it. I need to make sure that I schedule time for me to get out and do things other than write as well, or I'm going to go stir crazy. Which is kind of funny that I would need to get out before I'm going to be getting out and going very, very, very far away. Life's funny like that sometimes. I don't even want to do this today. It's 10 a.m. and I've gotten 442 words. That's not very many words. It's really hard to want to do anything creative when it feels like everything is up in the air. I'm just kind of like waiting for Friday. But I can't just sit around and wait for Friday. I gotta get work done. Okay, bye. It's almost noon. I got my first 1,000 words finally. I ended up taking a break and playing a game for a little bit instead. It's a piece of advice that my husband once got from my cover artist for this series. They're friends, and one time he was telling her that he felt like he really needed to fit in some drawing, but he had been working hard and he needed a break. But he should do his drawing first so that, you know, he's being responsible and getting things out of the way. And she said, why don't you take your break first? You feel like you need to take a break, why don't you just take a break so that that's out of the way and you don't feel like you're punishing yourself with the work. And then you're coming at the work with a fresh mind and you've had rest, so you should be ready to jump in. So I decided to do that for a bit, and I played a game for like 30 minutes. And then I went and sat down and I got a little bit more writing done. I'm gonna have some lunch now, and then I'll try to get another 1,000 words, and then I'll see if I can make up the rest of it this evening. I'm just having such a hard time getting through this with everything on my mind, but work doesn't always wait. So I finished out yesterday, which was Monday the 19th, with 3,640 words. So I ended up making it a little bit past my goal because I did really well last week. My goal for all the days this week and next week have kind of dropped a little bit. I only need 3,300 to get to my 50K by the end of my 15-day sprint here. I finished all my morning chores, so I'm going to get started on my writing pretty soon. It's kind of weird that previously at my daughter's old school, it was 8 to 3, and so I would drop her off and I would come home, I'd get breakfast and do my morning chores, and by 9 o'clock I would sit down and start writing. Her new school goes from 7 to 2, so it's an hour earlier, so I feel like I should be able to start my writing a little bit earlier, and I don't know what it is, but I cannot get going in the morning on these days, and so my writing time still ends up starting at around 9 o'clock. So all that's happened is that I lose an hour off the second side of the day. So one thing that I ran into yesterday was I completed what was chapter 24, and then I realized that I couldn't really go from what happened at the end of 23 straight into 24 because it gives characters no time to react to the situation. Where chapter 24 ends, it really needs to go into an action scene. So again, no time for anybody to respond. And after that, it's going to be too late to have any sort of reaction to the thing that happened at the end of 23. So I need to back up, make my current chapter 24 into chapter 25, and write a new chapter 24 so that they have an opportunity to react to that and have that change their course a little bit so that the things they do in the upcoming chapters make more sense. I don't usually back up like that. I know I've said before that I'm an extremely linear writer. I start at the beginning and I end at the end. And I don't really back up to add stuff unless something goes really wrong. I feel like this is one of the cases where something has gone really wrong because what happened was pretty important and I can't really afford to just glaze over it. So that's the goal for today, is correcting that. I'll probably try to finish the new chapter 24. It can be short. It doesn't need to be super long. So as long as I get like 1,500 words or so into that chapter, it should be fine. Most of my chapters are like 2,000 to 2,500 words, but there are a few that run much longer. I guess I will make myself some tea and I will get started and hope for the best today. I feel like I keep saying that, but I just really thought this was going to be easier than it has been. 70,000 moving over. Hopefully I'll get to this 72.5 today. I still gotta get these things wrapped up. I've got that written. I just need to schedule it. Everything else is just like, when am I gonna have time? It's Wednesday. I'm giving myself a little bit quieter of a morning. Yuki was crying to be picked up, so I've got her until she decides she wants to get down. I did not quite make my word count goal yesterday because I had forgotten we had something to do at the school, and that meant I did not have the hour of writing time I usually take in the evening. So I ended up at around like 2830, like 2,830-ish words. So I had been a little bit ahead on Monday, and now I am a little bit behind. I'm really having a hard time with this part of the story though. And I know part of it is just timing of everything that I am dealing with right now. So I'm trying to figure out how to say this without like a lot of spoilers or anything, but there was a death at the end of book 4. And the character who lost that person has not really had a chance to process the grief that comes with that loss. And that is where I am now in the book, and it's something that I need to address in the story. And going up to visit my grandmother this weekend while she is on hospice, and knowing that it's going to be the last time I see her. It just makes it a really hard thing to write. It is Thursday again. This is going to be day 9 of writing for me. I managed to do my writing last night and I caught up on my word count a little bit. I just barely made my goal yesterday. I got 3,341, but that's after subtracting what I needed to make up for the previous day. So I'm actually not quite where I wanted to be because I was hoping I could make up a little bit of time. I don't know how much writing I'm going to get done tomorrow, since tomorrow is the day that I am leaving to go say goodbye to my grandmother. It's going to be a long drive, so I'm going to be really tired once I get there. I'm planning to do some writing in the morning, and my husband is working a half day. So I'll leave once he gets home. I'll be getting up to my parents' house at probably like 7. I'm honestly really tempted to cheat a little bit because I really wanted this to be writing 50,000 words in a set 15 days, and if I try to squeeze in anything as like makeup time on other days, I feel like it doesn't count. But also when I made that plan, I was not really counting on extenuating circumstances. I know I'm gonna have a lot of Saturday morning free, so I would probably have some time to do a little bit of writing and catch up what I can't do on Friday before I go up to see my grandmother. But then it would be 50,000 words in 16 writing days, so I don't know. Maybe it doesn't actually matter and I shouldn't hold myself to that arbitrarily, especially when I'm trying to fit everything in around some really, unexpected life changes. I'm gonna take a look at my planner, see what I have scheduled for today. I have not been keeping up with my planner very well this week since I've been distracted, like trying to cram everything that needs to be done for trip preparation in and everything. So I've kind of been neglecting my my planner and my plans and whatnot. So today I just have writing and I need to post something on social media. I'll probably look through old posts that I had made ahead of time for The Witch and the Worm and just toss one of those up because I don't think I'll have time to record anything else. And then tomorrow I'm not going to be able to do probably any of this because I'm going to be traveling, and I'm going to go ahead and write that on here. We're just marking things off, marking off, lightening my load. All I have to do this weekend now is just traveling. So I got today's grid set up to start logging words, and I have my helper. It is once again Friday, so this is, well, it's supposed to be day 10 of my writing. So today is the day that I leave to go see my grandmother, and I have decided that today is probably not going to be a writing day. I don't know if I'm just going to try to skip today and make up for it a different day so that I still have, 15 days that I spent writing. What I am going to do is take my outline cards. I've got my index cards with my story on it, and I am going to type up all of the remaining cards into my manuscript so that it's all in one place. I don't have to be shuffling around with files or cards, and I will have my laptop with me. So if I happen to have time and energy tonight, I may try to write, but it's not going to happen this morning. I had a really hard time yesterday Not only was I just, dealing with a lot mentally and emotionally, but my kitten was being extremely bad all day long. And I know I got my overall word count goal of the 3,300. I don't know by how much, because I stopped counting my sprints. And I had also gone back and added a few more sentences into earlier scenes that I thought of things that would, make those transition a little bit more smoothly. So I went ahead and added them when I thought of them. But because I was having to stop writing every 2 or 3 minutes because of the kitten getting into things, I just stopped writing down my word counts and I forgot. So I only wrote down the sprints that I had that got me the first 987 words. So I don't know where exactly I am beyond knowing that I am where I need to be. I did write down, before I started this writing challenge, I wrote down my starting point. So once I get to the end of my 15-day writing sprint, I am going to be able to subtract that number from my current word count to see if I made it to the 50,000 that I was aiming for. But today is just going to be the day that I don't know exactly what I got. Because yesterday was so difficult, I ended up not having time to get all my stuff ready, so that's what I am doing today. I need to check the air in my tires and all that. So I'm just going to be consolidating all of the stuff that I had packed into my laptop bag, because I'm pretty sure it will all fit in there. It's a pretty big bag. And, I use a MacBook Air, so my laptop doesn't need a ton of space. I am not looking forward to making this long drive, but I updated my phone with some fresh music to listen to while I'm on the way up there. And I think between, finishing up going around and watering plants and packing up all of my stuff and typing up my notes, that's probably going to be my entire morning. Yeah, not really a fun thing to be dealing with in the middle of this project, but that's life, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it. It is Monday the 26th, and I am back home after my trip. I got home at about 3:30 yesterday, and I am so tired. I think I ultimately spent 19 hours total on the road across the weekend. So it's good to be back, and I cannot find my little stand for my phone, so I'm just holding it. I feel a lot better after the trip. It was a really nice visit. My grandmother was having a good day. Her mind was very clear, and she doesn't really have much energy left, but we had a very nice visit, and my aunt had not told her that I was coming, so it was a complete surprise when I walked in the door, and she was so happy. And she sat and, she held my hand for half an hour while we talked. And so we all had some chamomile tea, and it was just so pleasant. Over the past several years, my grandmother and I have written letters back and forth. And one of the first things that I did after we moved into this house was I sent her a picture of the space that I have set up in the front room. It's supposed to be a formal dining room, but we are not formal dining room people, so it's kind of like a tea parlor / art studio / writing space for me. And it's just such a pretty space. So, you know, for several years, we've been writing back and forth talking about how nice it would be to be able to sit together and have tea in my tea room. So once I got there, she gave me her very pretty teacup and told me to take it and put it in my tea room so that, you know, we can finally have tea together, if only in spirit. So it was a nice visit. It was very busy. I perhaps unsurprisingly ended up not getting any writing done whatsoever on Friday. I was so tired once I got up there. The drive up was very difficult. The drive back down here yesterday was much easier, but it's still just a long time to be on the road. I got to see half of my siblings. I saw one of my brothers and his fiance, and then I saw two of my sisters, and I got to see my nephew, and one sister's husband came and stopped by my parents' house. We practiced putting together the event tent for my youngest brother's upcoming wedding, and that was an interesting ordeal, but we got it done, and it was huge. And the funniest thing was that it's like just barely big enough for my immediate family, like all the siblings' spouses, but it'll be great to have for future family get-togethers as well. So I've got a couple things that I need to take care of this morning before I can sit down and try to do some writing. There was one thing related to books that happened while I was up there, and that was that I went by my old hometown library and I took a hardcover copy of The Witch and the Worm with me to ask if they wanted to add it to their library catalog. And they were trying to pay me for it, and I'm like, no, it's supposed to be a donation, because, you know, this was my library. This was where I spent a lot of time and got a lot of books to read. So it was just, you know, a small thing that was important to me to try to, you know, give something back to my local library. And the ladies at the library they were so nice, and they were so excited about me having come in, and they were excited to have the book, and they still have to have the branch manager look at it and give it the stamp of approval. Just, you know, making sure quality-wise that it meets their expectations, but they were very sure looking at it that it was not going to be any problem. But that's really exciting, because that opens the door for a lot of people, you know, in my home area to be able to get something of mine and read it too. And I have some friends in that area still who I know would love to read but can't always fit new books into their budget. Another benefit of that, I guess, is that they do interlibrary loan with the other libraries in that area, so my home region, anybody in that area will be able to request the book as an interlibrary loan and get it sent to them. I've got one of my award winners in the Memphis Public Library system, so it's not like the first time that I've gotten a book into a library, but it feels so much more meaningful when it's, you know, your library and the one that I grew up with. It's really nice. So I guess I'll start getting things sorted out and wash up my laundry from the trip and finish unpacking my bags, and then I can sit down and try to get some words down. I think it should go much easier now that I've had a chance to go visit with my grandma there and just have that chance to spend time together and say goodbye. It's still hard, but it's not as consuming as it was. So I'm about to go pick up my daughter from school now, and I just thought I would take a second to say that today's writing is going really well, and I'm so excited. I'm finally getting to the part where the characters that have been separated for this entire book are finally going to meet up again, and I've been looking forward to writing this part for literally years, and I'm so excited about it. It is going so well, but I also just crossed the 80,000 word mark in this book, and I was looking at my outline, and I estimate I still have at least 40,000 words to go. So unless some stuff wraps up a lot faster than I expected, this is going to end up being a really long book. It's Tuesday the 27th, and today is going to be an interesting one to try to get some writing done. I managed to just barely get my word count goal yesterday. I ended the day with 3,306 words. I actually had gotten a little bit more than that because I had scrolled up a little bit to add a few more sentences and do a better job of tying together what I was adding with what I had done several days ago, because I was no longer on that train of thought. What are you getting into, Yuki? Anyway, I have an appointment today at 9, and today we also have construction going on here. We're getting our fence replaced so that we don't have to look at the construction site behind us anymore. They're going to be working on that. It's going to be very noisy. Right now they have chainsaws running while they cut apart different segments of fence. It's not ideal, and I feel like I would be doing better if I had actual uninterrupted time in the mornings to write, but this period in time is just sort of like transitioning me back to what had been my writing schedule, and it's an adjustment. It's going to take me some time, so, and I guess adding in everything else I've been dealing with in the meantime just makes it a little bit harder to adjust, because I never know what to expect from day to day. I suppose that's the way life really is, though, so I don't know, maybe somebody will find it inspiring to see me struggling along like this and trying to get the words in anyway, despite everything going wrong from the time I decided I was going to sit down and start this writing challenge. You can't get petted all day. I've got to do my writing. There you go. Oh, hello. I ended up not being able to get out of my garage to go where I needed to go because I'm parked in, and the trucks that have me parked in are parked in, and the lumber trucks that have them parked in cannot move until they are completely unloaded. So that was a little inconvenient, and it is noisy, and I cannot concentrate, so I think I'll be doing the brunt of my writing tonight. It is Wednesday, and yesterday I ended the day almost 1,000 words short. It was almost exactly 2,300 that I stopped with. I had so many interruptions with like the noise and the construction, and then when evening rolled around I ended up having a headache. I have a muscle cramp in my shoulder again. I am not really sure what caused it this time. So I have my magic bag here that is hopefully going to help relax that muscle a bit. I'm about to warm it up again, and then I'm going to start writing. I have my vine here suspended in my little tree because the kitten is a chewer. I really hope she outgrows that soon. So I'm coming up on another fight scene, and I'm very tired of combat and fight scenes in this book, but there's going to be a lot because of the nature of what this one is. I was telling some friends that, you know, part of the problem that has kept some of my word counts low is that fight scenes for me are very mentally taxing. So anytime I have to write a fight scene, it always takes a lot out of me, and it takes a long time. They're one of those things that I would much rather get right the first time and not have to worry about editing a lot. So I stopped yesterday before a fight scene because I knew my headache was not going to allow me to get through it. So that's where I'm going to be starting today, and I'm hoping that me being mostly fresh mentally will let me get through it a little bit more easily. On the whole, I'm just a little bit behind where I wanted to be. I'm not even counting Friday where I didn't get any writing done at all. I'm just not going to worry about it. Instead of 15 work days, it'll have been 14. And I'm just going to assume that I will end up at around maybe like 47,000, maybe like 46,500, because that would put me, you know, one full day of work away from my 50K word goal. That means that I still basically will have gotten there as long as the rest of this week goes well. No matter where I land though, it's been a really great run of progress. My editor is right on my heels and she's really enjoying it, and then my husband and my daughter are my first beta readers and they're really enjoying it, and my husband has been taking the chapters that I have finished to work with him on his iPad so that he can read during his breaks. And there have been a couple of times where he sent me text messages through the day and was like, I just finished this section and that was really good. So I appreciate that. It feels promising. It feels like I'm doing a good job after having this book pent up in my head all summer when I couldn't write, and of course getting to the scenes that I've wanted to do ever since I came up with this idea for the story like a decade ago. And when I say that, it's hard to believe that it's been so long, but when I look back at the first notes that I wrote down for this story, for this series, it was like 2014 or 2015, so it has been a long time coming. It's Thursday, so I cannot believe that I'm down to like the last 2 days of what I had planned as my little writing sprint, and I feel like I've learned a lot about myself and my current capabilities during this. I'm looking forward to talking about that some more tomorrow. I'm just gonna give a quick check-in this morning before I get down to writing because I've got somewhere to be at 9:15, so I need to leave here by like 9. It's about like 8:15 or so, just keeping it really short. I got 3,926 words yesterday. I am filled with regret today because yesterday I skipped over a combat scene so that I could write the ending of the chapter that came immediately after the combat scene, because combat is the hardest thing for me to write. I really struggle with that. And so yesterday I had to start with a combat scene, and then today I did it to myself again. I'm starting with a combat scene. It doesn't need to be long. I'll probably just see if I can do like a paragraph or two, and then I'm gonna do my best to squeeze in like that scene first thing this morning. I'm gonna keep my expectations low, maybe like 500 words or so, and then I will try to write as much as I can after I get back home. It's always difficult for me to fit it in around other things because I don't do very well when I have to like get up and deal with interruptions and stuff. So I need like at least an hour chunk of time to sit down and really think things through if I'm gonna make good progress. But this is what I got. I am just going to try to make it fit. Still kind of struggling with the length on this one. The manuscript is up to 87,500 words, and some of that is like notes and outline that I dropped at the bottom when I was traveling, and I'm still counting it because it was still work, and those words are kind of going to expand into proper scenes as I go along, so it's not like they're going to be wasted. I'll just be adding to them later on. At this point, I have no idea how long this book is going to be, and it's starting to worry me a little bit because once you get up north of like 100,000 words, whenever you are an indie author, it becomes really price prohibitive to have it printed as a physical book. And I actually have always really done, I think, well with physical sales as opposed to what other people tell me is typical. Like most people are like, oh, I hardly sell any paperbacks. It's like, well, paperbacks are probably about half of what I sell. People are equally as likely to get my books as paperback as they are to get an ebook version of it. So I have to be able to make some money on my paperbacks, and if it keeps getting longer, I'm not gonna be able to make that very profitable. I'm really hoping, you know, fingers crossed, that I can wrap it up before, or maybe at like 125,000 words. I feel like there's still so much ground to cover that it may run past that, but Here we are on Friday, the 30th of August, and today is going to be my last writing day. I had wanted to try to schedule a makeup day for the Friday that I missed last week, because I really wanted this to be like an actual full 15 days of writing. But I think I have enough of a grasp on things now to make realistic plans going forward. I think I've pretty much achieved what I set out to do, and I figured I would go ahead and do my filming of my thoughts about the whole thing before I do my writing for today. So this is going to be the last little segment for my video, partly because it is Friday and I have not actually had a rest day for 2 weeks now because of traveling, and I am ready for a break. So I don't want to spend the day worrying about what I'm going to say when I sit down to talk to the camera. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. The main reason that I think I can talk about it now is because I do have 13 days worth of writing that I have logged. Last night I stopped at 2,600 words, which was a bit less than what I needed to reach my goal of 3,300. But it kind of became a situation where I needed to decide between, okay, am I going to sit down and use my last hour of the day to write again, or am I actually going to spend some time with my husband? And obviously my husband won. And that is one of the reasons that doing a writing challenge like this is not something that's going to be sustainable long term. It was really fun and it was great for, you know, getting me back in the saddle for writing and getting me back in the swing of things. There's nothing quite like just diving into the deep end instead of trying to get your feet wet. And I wouldn't undo that. I'm really happy with the work that I got done on this book, even though the book has ended up being far longer than I anticipated because there's just so much going on in this one. It's still going to take me a while to finish it, but I'm going to be dialing back my work amounts to something more manageable. So after I get my writing done today, that should put me at right around 46,000 words since I started this 15-day 50K writing challenge. Since I only actually will have written 14 days, that's basically just I am behind the one day that I didn't get to write and then the amount that I didn't get written last night. So I know that when it comes down to it, I can very consistently hit an overall goal, even if my word counts like day to day fluctuate up and down a little bit. I am not the fastest writer in the world, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that if they were spending, you know, the 6 to 8 hours a day that I have been spending writing, they would probably get a lot more words. But all the editors that I've ever worked with have told me that I am a very clean first drafter. When I make word choices, I try really hard to make sure that they are the best choices. I'm very mindful of my story timelines. I will go back and fact check myself to make sure that I'm not contradicting something that I have written previously. I make sure that all of my descriptions of people are correct and that I have left people in the right places, so that when it comes time for editing, it's really just kind of breezing through to fix repeated words or basic typos or random little places where I left notes for myself to expand or adjust things based on later changes that let me go back and work more foreshadowing into the earlier parts of the books. It's always hard for me to remind myself that I cannot expect the crazy high word counts that other people who write that many hours get, because As I am going along, I am also putting some of the editorial workload into everything that I do, so that when I get to the editing phase, instead of spending months and months going back and forth over this very long book, I'm pretty much going to be able to sit down and probably knock out most of the editing for this book in a week. And that's also one of the reasons that I can have my editor come in right behind me and edit every chapter as I go along, because I know I am front-loading the work to make sure that everything is as clean as I can possibly get it on my own. And then she's, the housekeeping that follows along behind me. That's also a benefit of being somebody who outlines my books ahead of time. I always know where the plot is going, so I don't really have any big plot holes that I need to try to work out or stitch up along the way. For some people, the 3,300 words to 3,500 that I've been doing fairly consistently the past couple of weeks, that would still be a ton of writing. And it's definitely a lot more than I used to be able to do. It's very much a situation where writing is a muscle, and the more you use it, the more easily the words will come. As you gain experience, you can do things much faster. But I've also met people who will sit and they will write 8 hours a day and get maybe 1,000 usable words out of it. And that's still a good pace for them. I have a friend who can sit down and hammer out 10,000 words in a day. So it's always important for me to consider my process versus hers, and also our different life situations, because there have been a lot of times where I catch myself looking at what other people can do and wondering why I can't. And very often it's because these people that I am looking at, they don't have children, or maybe they're not married. They don't have the same obligations that I have. We all make choices for how to spend our time, and one of the choices that me and my husband made was that we wanted to have kids, so our daughter takes a lot of time. So it would be silly for me to look at people who don't have children and feel like I am somehow failing in comparison to their word counts when they don't have to stop working at 2 o'clock to go pick up a kid from school. And for me personally, those interruptions are really hard to deal with. But because I have made that decision for myself that, my family is important to me, that's also something that I have to consider when putting together my writing schedules. And that's why doing something like this all the time isn't something that I can do. Because the amount of time that it takes me to get the 3,000 something clean words that go into my manuscripts, it doesn't leave me any time for anything else. I have struggled to get in that many words just keeping up with the housework, because I didn't want to fall in a situation where I just didn't do anything and didn't keep up with anything. But that's a time requirement that I had to account for every single day, that I needed to spend at least an hour doing dishes and keeping up with laundry and cleaning the bathrooms. And that's a lot of time that adds up through the weeks. It also didn't leave any time for illness. If I had gotten sick at any point, instead of just having trouble with muscle cramps that I can address with like a heat bag or something like that, I either would have had to sacrifice my words, or I would not have been able to take the time that I needed to adequately rest and get better. It also meant that I had no downtime or no fun time. Me and my family for a couple of years now, we try to get together on Friday nights to do game nights, because we're kind of scattered and, we don't get together in person very often. So for the past 3 weeks, I have not played on Friday nights because I've been needing that time to hit my word count goals. And I don't want to do that forever. I miss playing Minecraft with my family. I haven't had any time for games otherwise either. I check in my little mobile game Pocket Camp, which is closing in November, like first thing in the morning, and then that's it. My daughter plays it in the afternoon to make sure that my inventory is still stocked up with what I need, which she has no problem with because she also loves the game. But what if I want to be the one catching the little imaginary fish? I haven't left myself any time for any of that. I haven't left myself any time for any of my hobbies, so I haven't done any sewing. I have not been keeping up with my artwork. I have not done anything with my doll collection. I have not had any time to play any of the video games that I love to play on my own. And especially with a new Zelda game coming out soon, I don't want to have to miss that just to get more words done. And I just don't want to sacrifice the things that I love doing outside of writing forever, because eventually the writing will start to feel like a punishment instead of fun. And I don't want to do that to something that I care about so much. Originally, I was going to use this weekend to give me a catch-up day, but it's a long weekend, so my husband and daughter are both going to be home and they're going to be wanting to do stuff together. I want to have the freedom to do that with them, so I'm just going to stop now. 14 days, 46,000 words. That's really, really good. So as I move forward into September, my goal is still to get this book finished. It'll definitely be done by the end of September, but I think I am going to start cutting my word count down probably in half. I don't know if I'm going to hover around like the 2,000 word a day mark for a little while, or if I'm going to drop all the way down to 1,500. I can probably do 1,500 words in one sitting if I push a little bit. I don't know what that's going to look like time-wise, because every scene has different needs and the content of those scenes is sometimes harder to write, like if I have a combat scene. But no matter which one I pick, it's still going to be enough for me to finish writing this book by the end of September, and then we'll spend the month of October doing edits. I had originally planned for the book to go out in like November or December, and it looks like I will be able to make that. So that will give me November and December to work on writing the last book in the series. Even though it's not pushing the limits of what I can do regularly, I think cutting down my word count goals to something small but easily repeatable every single day indefinitely is going to be a lot wiser, because it'll let me keep going without running into terrible burnout problems. I also want to have the freedom to have days off so that I don't feel stressed about, oh, how am I going to fit this in around appointments? Because after I get my word counts in today, I need to schedule like an appointment with my eye doctor. I need to schedule an appointment with my ENT. I need to schedule an appointment for my daughter for her allergies. And it's honestly going to be really nice to be able to put those anywhere in the day that they fit and not have to worry about when I'm going to do my work around it. I'm looking forward to having the time with my husband and my daughter in the evening, where I don't feel obligated to be working. They're both like my biggest cheerleaders, so no matter how I choose to use my time in the evening, I know that they will support that choice, but I would far rather spend time with them. I think some relaxation time is very overdue. Not putting it in park, because I still have quite a bit of book left to write, probably about 30,000 words left to finish out this book, but hitting the brakes a little bit. This will probably be one of the longest videos I will ever put up, and I think my future writing vlogs will be a little bit more condensed. I would like to get this posted right after Labor Day, so I might spend part of my weekend trying to edit it together. But either way, if you made it this far, thank you for joining me for this little writing experiment. I feel like it was fruitful overall, but I'm looking forward to a much more, standard pace. But I am taking the weekend off, and I am very glad for it. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and I will be back with more fun writing exploration soon. Take care, and I'll see you next time.